Okay, let's rewind from there. About 18, I decided I was going to get out of town. Me and my first wife we were just high school sweethearts, whatever, had broken up. It's the end of the world for me. I got to get out of town. So I answered an article in the newspaper that was travel in the sun, have fun, sell magazines. So I
Mm.
called this up and they had me a bus ticket like 2 days later for Baltimore, Maryland. So I went down to the Greyhound here in Nacogdoches, jump on this uh, jump on this bus and head to Baltimore, Maryland. I'm like, man, we're just gonna party, make money, sell magazines, whatever. That sounds awesome. Well, that
Mm.
ended up being like some cult type stuff. That was a whole different life
Okay.
experience. Yeah, it was crazy. At first, it was adrenaline rush, and I guess later on it was adrenaline rush. At first, actually, it was terrible. Uh, but because they'd fit like four of us in a hotel room, two beds. I was a guy that slept on the floor because everybody else, sleep. Come on, sleep in the bed. I was like, no, I'm not. I don't do that stuff. I'm gonna sleep over
All
here on the
guys?
floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would be all guys and all girls, but we're separated out. We
Gotcha.
couldn't intermingle.
So yeah, boys.
You had to earn that. So
Okay.
yeah, they called it planning X. You had to meet your
What
quota.
what cult was this?
So it's actually that group was called Roadrunners. It was run by Divine Ministries was the name of the people that ran it, but the group they call themselves the Roadrunners.
Okay.
So you had about 30, 40 people from the age of I don't know 18 to 30ish. They had an age range they wanted to keep you at. So they trained you to try to live on as little money as possible. So yeah, you weren't nobody unless you could make it on like $2. So like
Okay.
at the end of the day, you'd knock door to door, starting at 9 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock at night, 7 days a week. So they drop you off on the street. You got a junior manager, load you up, probably 10 people in a van, 8 people in a van, big old Econoline vans. They bring you in, they drop you off street, 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 street. And each person when you're dropped off with somebody that has higher rank than you. They're training you. You got junior manager running the van, then you got assistant manager running the street by street. And they drop you off. You're selling the magazines door to door. And anyways, at the end of the day, you come in and you do your check. Well, you have this canvas. They give you a card that's made for that area, and I'm not. You probably had them come to your door before because I've had them come to my door in Alto, and I hemmed them up. I was like, I know exactly what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. But anyways, they at the end of the day, you do your count, turn in all your sales, and then they say, okay, how much do you need to survive tomorrow? $20, because you got to get breakfast, lunch, dinner, if you smoke cigarettes, pack cigarettes, whatever. But if you're high ranking, if you're somebody trying to, be somebody, you're going to tell them, hey, $2, I don't need nothing. So they're just putting your money in an account. Once your account reaches a certain number, then you move up in rank, so once you get
Mm.
$100,000 in an account, then you move up some assistant manager, and then you go to junior manager, and then you become manager, and then you get your own crew from there. That's the
Mm.
way it's supposed to go.
So is this a little MLM as well, like multi-level marketing kind of thing, where like the people above you get more money based on your sales?
You never see your money.
You never see your money.
You never
Ever.
see your money. So you have what they call date nights or a plan X. So if you achieve your quota 10 days in a row, then you can do a plan X with a girl, and she has to achieve her quota 10 days in a row. But then their rules were you had to take her out, bring on her date. You both of you had to make your quota. You had to be, so respectful. The way we carried ourselves, even like when we did group nights. So, uh, we like probably once a month we'd take a weekend and we ain't working that weekend. And we called ourselves Junior Mafia. So we'd show up, we dress really nice, and we show up to a place and, shut down a whole nice Italian restaurant. It's all catered out. Yeah, who's this? Who are y'all? Who are y'all? Junior Mafia. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like we carried ourselves different. You were allowed to talk about your past. You weren't allowed to talk about your home life, anything from your past, show pictures, nothing. You weren't allowed to have cell phones. You weren't allowed to contact home. So the
Mm.
only time I was allowed to contact home in that time period, uh, 2000, well, actually, 9/9 of '01, I was on top of the World Trade Center. And then 2 days later, we were in Newburgh, New York when they got struck. So we did a final tour
Wow.
of the top of the World Trade Center. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
probably the last tourist group to actually tour the top of the World Trade Center. That's what it was called, the top of the World Trade Center tour. And the crazy thing about that tour was they put you like when you come down from the top to the next level, they take pictures. And what you do is you take pictures in front of a green screen of you like falling off the building. And then 2 days later,
Terrible.
watching these people actually jump off
That's
this
terrible.
building it really scarred us. It's scarred me anyways. And they continue to have us knock doors. So you're knocking doors. We're in Newburgh, New York, 60 miles away, knocking doors, and everybody that opens the door, they have family there, crying, bawling, and here I am trying to sell magazines to you. You know what I mean? Like, just ruthless the way they did it. So there was another group that ran also. It was called PMI. They were the dirtier version of us. So we were corrupt. We had, like I said, we had
The dirtier
printouts.
version.
Yeah, so they did drugs. They slept with each other.
Gotcha.
They were just wild. So we had printouts. We had that said that we went to the college and then we'd practice our sales scheme. So like if I pulled it out, like, oh yeah, I'm going to SFA. You know what I mean? You had to make sure like what you're going to school for was veterinarian, or actually they taught you as you go to the door, you could start seeing what these people would buy, as far as the magazine, and maybe you catch something there like, oh, they're into animals, oh, so I'm going to be a veterinarian, blah, blah, blah. And it, pull their heartstrings, make the sale and get out. And if the people ever receive their magazines, I don't know.
What sort of magazines are you selling? It's
just any magazines.
Okay. So you have like a list of like.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it's pretty much any magazine you wanted, you're selling a subscription for, whether it's Far That Way or Highlights magazine for kids. You know what I mean? We had them all.
Okay.
So anything you wanted to cover. Now, like I said, whether you received your magazine or not, I don't know. And we also traveled on that. So, and the way they kept us divided, they could tell, like, say, if me and you were on a team together and we started being a little more buddy,
a little too friendly.
Yeah, too close. You know what I mean? They separate that. So when they pick up that evening, they'd pick up and they're like, hey, we're going over here. And then a weird van would pull up and pick you up. And you just get in. They got your suitcase in there. Next thing you know, you're on a different crew. Yeah, they separated out. That was part of the thing too. So we would do things. I've gotten cars, like as far as, and I think it was good training for ministry. Like later on in life, being able to, hit a neighborhood on an outreach and knock doors. We were like, I don't know, you just knock the door and say, hey, Jesus loves you. As far as like getting pizzas, I know like Domino's has to give out a quota of so many, a month of donations for nonprofit organizations. These magazine companies claim to be nonprofit organizations because you're going to the school there. They all legit sign up at the courthouse and, get their legit paperwork. I never had to do that part of it. But I remember when I left, so once I was probably there 6 months, I started to figure out the system. What you're talking about, each crew had 30 something kids on there going out selling magazines.
And nobody's keeping their money.
Nobody's keeping their money. Yeah, because you think you're just doing this great thing. Like towards the end, I started asking for my money. It's like, you would have like I said, the date nights, you could say, hey, I need $500. They'll give you that. You know what I mean? But you might have been saving up 2 months, $100 a night. 50% of the magazine sales are yours. So if the magazine sold for $29.95, you got $15 straight in your hand. And you might have sold from 9 in the morning to 9 at night, 7 days a week. You might have sold $2,000 worth of magazines in that week's time, but it's going straight to them.
The idea was that you're storing it up in your account, and then at some point you're gonna walk away with $100,000.
Yeah, or you'll move to the next level.
Level.
When you get to, I think it was like $150,000, you get to junior manager level, and then what they do is they give you $1 million in your own crew, and then once you get to that level, you're like that guy.
You're golden.
Yeah, that guy was like, he could do whatever he wanted to, if he wanted the ladies to stay, the night, you know what I mean? That just happened. It's just what it was. So, that's what you were trying to achieve. It's odd too, because something I learned on that, there was a guy I remember when I was first training, his name was Randy. I don't remember his last name, but, he was from Oklahoma. Crazy guy. Loved him to death, man. Just great character, great person. So he started me out on one side of the street and he was on the other side of the street, and he'd hit a door. Boom, he's going in. Here I go. What do I gotta do? I just knock the door, hit it. You know your canvas. So I go hit the door. I come to the door, blah, blah, slam the door in your face. Wow, you start getting angered up. By the time you get to the third or fourth door, you knock and you start walking off like, I'm selling magazines, la, la, la. You don't even want to talk to people anymore. What he told me, he said, look, man, you got to be positive. He said, you have to know that you sold them before you even get to the door. So that taught me something on later on with Christ. It's like, man, having faith that you achieved, something before that, something's going to happen before it happens, is kind of the same thing that he was teaching me there. So when he went up to the door, he already knew he sold it. I went up to the door, I already knew they were going to slam it in my face. So, it was a valuable lesson for me to learn that. So, I don't know why I threw that in there, but I just thought it was
good story.
Yeah, it's a good story. But, eventually, me and him ran the boards, we were top of the board. So the crazy story is we went from, and I've seen a lot of stuff. We went from, Baltimore, Maryland, all the way to Canada. Rode the Maid of the Mist in Canada, all the way back to Jacksonville, Florida, is where I burn out. So I've seen them I've seen junior managers leave and come back, blood in the car and stuff. I don't know what happened to people, but we'd pick up some people, like that's part of it. Like you would get cars, like I was saying, and you would definitely do good if you get new hires, new recruits.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can find somebody on the streets and you can canvas them into joining the crew, you're a king. You know what I mean? You're top stuff. But we got to Jacksonville, Florida. I started to learn how to, scheme the stuff. I got tight with one of the junior managers, Brian. So he would set up, so I didn't have to plan X anymore. I would just say, hey, bro, like you drop off here and then drop me off here and her off there. And then, we'd, in people's backyards and laundry rooms or whatever, we could do whatever we wanted to and then get picked up later. So I got kind of cool with them like that. And we got to Jacksonville, Florida, and I finally convinced them, today we're going to do a money run, big rich neighborhood. We're going to get as much cash as we can, and you're coming home with me. Like, we're going to take a bus ticket back. So he was all in. So we left out that morning. We dropped everybody off, and me and him rode together, and we started hitting rich neighborhoods. Boom, 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 boom. Just big tickets, big tickets, big tickets. And, we had, $800 real quick. And it was like, all right, we're gone. We're out of here, because they're not going to let you get your stuff. So we ended up going down to the police station. I explained to the police what's going on. Hey, I'm with this crew. It's a magazine crew. They're not going to let us out of here. They got my stuff in that hotel room. They got my money. So cops follow us over there to the hotel room. The manager that was in the room, he's watching over everything while we're gone all day. I don't know what else they did while we were gone all day, but they hung out at the hotel room. But yeah, just whatever they wanted to. So we get there, and the cops tell him, hey, we can't come in the room, but he needs his bag and he needs his bag. So they get there and get the bags. Well, then they start calling the the junior manager, because he had a phone. I didn't. Start calling him, hey, you don't need to do this and blah, blah, blah. You remember this girl that you were in love with? Over here in this state, they separated him. He told me the story. He's madly in love with her. We'll get you back with her and la, 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 and everything will be fine. Don't listen to this guy. He's a Jones. That's one thing they called all people were Joneses except for us. So y'all kept up with the Joneses. They even taught us that most neighborhoods, 3 doors down, people don't know each other, but they're going to want to try to outdo the person down the way. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, your neighbor 3 houses down on the opposite side of the street bought this many magazines. He helped me win my contest. Oh, okay, we'll outdo him. But we that's what they train you, is that most likely you don't know your neighbor 3 houses down and across the street. So that's one of the things they taught you. They're all Joneses. They're trying to keep up with each other, and we're above them.
We're not like them.
Yeah, we're not like them at all. We're junior mafia. We're supreme. But so we end up getting to the bus stop, and we're at the bus stop. We got cops on one side watching out for us, and then we got that whole crew on the other side, and they're sitting there texting me. He's like, man, dude, like, I'm going back. I'm like, dude, they're gonna kill you. Don't go back. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And finally they talked him out of it, and I got on the bus and I came back home. And that was the first time my family heard, except for that one night where I got after the World Trade Center thing, they let us call home and say, hey, we're alive. And that was it. Like, that was the first time my family heard from me in months. And we still had to travel from New York all the way back down to Jacksonville, Florida. So, I mean, and like I said, it was a 6-month period of time. So it was, you're steadily moving, hitting every little single town in between here and there.
Yeah.
From one side to the other.
Yeah. And people don't get their magazines, so you need to move on.
Yeah. Or they do.
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I've never seen the same house twice. So,